basically, if you log in, just show up, but didn't do anything, you get a 10. But 10 is 0. Okay. What if you got 20? Is it adding up to 30? No, still gonna 20. All right. So for listening, why you're getting 39, more than 27? Because there are 3 sections: repeat sentence, retell lecture, answer short question. I'm using abbreviations. Okay. So this is 30 points. This is 15 points. This is 2 points. That's 55 in total. That's how you get, close to 40 points without doing the listening. So I did a lot of tests, I just did the listening and also speaking. Then I can see a quite high mark in the writing, because listening is supporting writing a lot. And we know speaking is supporting listening a lot. So that's one thing, okay? You're already aware of that. But the other thing is, okay, very important, because it can connect to the first question I ask you, how to calculate the points. Let's take writing, for example, because I just mentioned in writing, there are supports from the listening, right? So in listening part, semi-spoken text, I heard you talk about this part, right?
Yes.
You find it very challenging? No?
It's
You find it easy?
yes.
Okay. So minimum 20 points, because it's 2 to 3 questions. Okay. I know you're still in kind of confusion, but just listen, okay? Because later on, I'm gonna expand every part, okay? So this is from listening and supporting writing, 20 points at least. And then we have fill in the blank, that's 10 points. And then we have write from dictation, that's 30 points. So that's 60 points in total to support writing, right? Okay, it's the minimum, which is very accurate. If I calculate the maximum, which is not accurate, right? And then for the writing itself, it has the first part, summarize written text. How many points? Can you tell me how many points?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
14. So it's like 7 for each. The reason why I ask you the question is because if you do not know about the marking, then you don't know how to get the points. You have to understand, all right? And then the second part would be essay writing. The minimum is 15, so that's 29. What else? Is writing getting support from some other parts? Don't you think? Which part?
Maybe reading?
Reading, which one?
Maybe say because you need to read it to understand what it
All of the parts or one part? Is there one part or all the reading sections would contribute points to writing?
I think all section because you need to read it to understand it, to be able to write.
That's good. That's good. But only one section, one question would contribute points to writing. That is fill in blank. You click the button, and there are 4 to 5 choices you can choose.
Yes.
And only that one would contribute points to writing.
Okay.
Okay, so I will write fill in the blank R and W. So that means, okay, supporting the writing, that's 25 points roughly, because it's 5 to 6 questions, and for each question would be 4 to 5 blanks. So 25 is accurate, okay? Now, you do a quick calculation, okay? Math, simple math. 60, 29, 25. How many points in total? How many points in total?
109.
109?
29,
25, 60.
70.
Yeah, so that's 114.
Okay, but how come?
114 is minimum, right? 114 is minimum. I said it's minimum. That's why some students can get more than, can get a 4 mark 90. It's not because they are perfect. It's because for each section, it's more than 90 points. You have to understand this. Because if you think, okay, the maximum score is 90, you're wrong.
Okay, that means I can be 24 mistakes.
Exactly.
Okay, now I will take note of that.
Exactly. This is very important because for most students, they take the class, they ask me a question like, okay, hey West, I'm gonna pass for my writing. My goal is 79. How good should I do in my writing essay section? I will say, why are you asking me the question? For essay, it's only 15 points. If you get a full mark in that section, it's still simple. There are only 15 points. There are only 15 points. But for the rest of the parts, there are more than 50 points.
I will tell a history about my teacher.
Yeah.
My teacher tell me she thought she made a mistake in the answer short question.
Yeah.
The answer was clocky,
Yeah.
and she answered quite short.
Yeah.
And she thought in her mind
Yeah.
she was correct. No, because I got a 90.
Yeah.
If I got a 90, I think that's correct. But now,
You understand it?
yes, she made a mistake,
Yeah.
but not a lot of mistakes. It's
Yes.
very important.
So now you understand, okay, getting 65, 79 is not about the level of your English, it's about the percentage of your score. It's very different. Think about IELTS. For the band 5, band 6, band 7, band 8, the examiner will judge you based on different criteria.
Yeah, that's true.
The way you speak, if you're talking at 5 is different from the way you're talking at 7. Because I have been teaching IELTS for many years. I know that. But for PTE, think about it. For every question, it's the same. Read aloud. It's not asking you to express something from your own mind or your own idea. It's just read something already given in the system, right? So it's testing the rate of your score or your accuracy. It's not the level of your English. That's why you see a lot of students, maybe you feel like they are not very good at English, but they can pass the test. They can pass the test very quickly. So you're always involved in something like the techniques, the tricks.
Okay, you mean if my listening or speaking is not so good, but my writing is quite good?
Exactly.
That's a good thing.
Exactly. So if your listening is very strong, why I say if your listening is very strong, your writing could be high? Because in listening, there are several parts involved writing. See here?
Yes, I summarized.
That's writing. Fill in blank, that's writing. Reference vision, that's also writing. Now, I'm asking you a second question. This question will lead you to another very important thing I want to talk about, especially for the writing and the speaking, okay? You look at here. So I calculate the points, okay? But when you weigh the points of essay in a whole total score, that's like roughly 1/8 of the total score, right? It's only 15 points. If you're adding, another 15 points, that would be more. That would be 130. Still, it's gonna be very, small proportion of the total score, right? But think about it. For example, if you want to test Raphael's writing skill, why don't you ask him to write an essay? It's a common sense. Even in Chinese test, we will have 150 scores in total, and the writing section is 60. That's more than 1/3. For the IELTS, for the TOEFL, it's the same thing. You're given 1 hour, you're given 40 minutes to write an essay. If you are studying something like law, for one maybe subject, the essay would be accounting for more than 50% of the total score, right? So everyone know that. If I want to test for writing, I have to write something. But why PTE is doing something so abnormal, so strange? Can you think about why?
I think they just, how can I say? They just,
Test your comprehensive skill.
overall,
But it's
I
for
think-
writing.
I think your use of language, maybe.
But we have 7 sections: the writing, listening, reading, and writing. That makes sense. If you really, your point is
In
right.
my mind, it's like all the skills.
Yeah.
One complete each other.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
My sense.
Okay.
But if one of those is not so good, another can support the first one.
Yes.
So now why doesn't PTE, making everything just one? The language test. Do not separate, listening, writing, and speaking anymore. I mean, if really in that case, that's more complicated. That's making it more complicated, right? So I give you the answer, okay? Let's do not waste time here. Because computer is stupid. Because computer is stupid. Why computer is stupid? Computer cannot read your essay. If a computer can judge your essay, I guarantee you the essay points won't be this less. Because computer is a machine, computer can only judge your performance based on the algorithm, based on the rules. That's why the essay part weighs only this little. Think about the rest of the class. Fill in blank. Is it giving you standardized answer? Fill in blank.
Yes, correct.
Definitely. If this one correct, it's correct, right?
Yes.
100% accurate, right? Right from dictation, you listen to one sentence, you write down that sentence.
Yes.
Fill in blank, you listen to one passage and fill in the blank, fill the missing word. Perfect, right? Okay, perfect in checking for the computer. Now, leaving these two parts. Do you think they have standardized answer?
We say no.
No, I'm not saying essay. I'm saying SWT and SST, summarize written text and summarize spoken text. Do you think they have the standardized answer?
No, of course not.
Really? Now tell me, what's the definition of summarize?
Yes.
Putting
Spoken a
the
few
same
words.
idea.
The same idea you tell me, right?
Yeah.
The same idea and But shorter.
It's shorter.
do you think it's a standard? Because I'm not allowing you to change it, I'm actually making shorter. Making shorter means you can maybe just cut out those adjectives and unimportant other verbs, but you're still gonna keep the subject, the verb, the core. That's a standard. For example, okay, if I say Indian peasants are suffering from the loss of the crops, right? Can you change the peasants? Can you change that word? Can you change the loss of the crops? You cannot change it. Why? Because if you change it, it's not accurate anymore. That's paraphrasing. That's not summarizing. So summarizing means what? Means you just copy some idea from the original text or the audio, but making shorter. That's why I asked you a question about how many points are there for SWT, summarized written text, and you say you don't know. Then I tell you, for this one, it's content, vocabulary, grammar, format. That's 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 1 point. I won't talk about this in detail for this moment. And for this one, it's content, vocabulary, grammar, format, spelling, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points each. Now, tell me why there is no spelling check for summarized written text. Strange, huh?
Because if you just copy, you're so stupid if you.
Because it's summarizing, you're already seeing the text. There's no challenge of the vocabulary anymore. But because if you're listening to an audio, you need to take notes. Computer need to check, is your writing correct? If your spelling and writing is not correct, how can you prove you got the idea, you got the word? But for the written text, there's no need to give you the spelling points because it's already giving. See the point? You guys can always check, the official score guide. That's, I think the code for the PTE. If you check that, you will find out, seriously, there is no spelling checking. But it's strange. You're doing the writing part, but there is no spelling. Why? Because you can copy. That's why. But I'm not saying you can have mistakes here. If you have mistakes here, of course, there is no spelling detection, but it's going to affect your vocabulary and content. So I highlight there is no spelling checking. It's not about asking you to ignore the spelling. I want you to understand the concept, the characteristic of this two. It has standardized answer. That's why for the whole writing section, only the essay is something, a little bit subjective. And the rest part is all objective. That's why I say this one is very important, because this one will definitely affect how you're gonna tackle those questions, especially summarized written test, summarized spoken test, and also our speaking. Think about that. How a computer can listen to you. It must use some rules, which can, the machine can apply all the time, right? Okay, now, clear about this already? Any questions so far? No? Let's move on to speaking, okay? All right. For the speaking, now I want you to, have a look at something I made myself based on the PTE score guide. Just wait a second. So PTE for the speaking is only having three criteria. Can you tell me what are they?
Is
Deborah?
fluency,
Yeah.
pronunciation, and content.
Very good. Fluency, pronunciation, and content, right? So firstly, I want to highlight there's one part. There's no fluency, there's no pronunciation, and also no content. Which part? In speaking.
Speaking?
Yeah, in speaking, there is one part has no content checking, no fluency checking.
When you introduce yourself. Is that part?
You
I mean, when you just introduce yourself for the seminar.
Oh, that's not in the part. That's not in the
It's not
section.
a part?
That's not in the marking section.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe answer short question?
Very good job. See why answer question has no pronunciation, fluency, and content? Because think about this. Okay. In this section, you are encountering some question like this. Okay. What is large objects around the sun? What is a large objects orbit around the sun? What?
Planets.
Exactly. So it's testing your vocabulary. It's testing vocabulary and listening. It's not testing, how you organize, how you speak, right? So only this part is not involving
Can I
any.
take a phone?
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely take a photo. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Okay.
I need listen for true.
Okay. So only this part has no checking on the fluency, pronunciation, and the content, because as I told you, it's testing your vocabulary base, right? Sometimes if you do not understand the question, you cannot understand the question, you cannot answer the question, you cannot provide the answer, right? So it's testing your listening and the vocabulary. Good? Now, for the rest of the part, we can see clearly there are three criteria: pronunciation, fluency, and content. Okay. Now, Barbara, tell me, which part do you think is the most important part?
I think read aloud, but I'm not sure.
Which one?
Read aloud for the speaking.
I mean, for the three criteria: pronunciation, fluency, and content.
Got it.
Yeah, which one?
I think content.
You think content?
Because if you have a bad pronunciation,
Yeah.
you will speak wrong, and
Yeah.
the computer will not understand it,
Okay.
and you lose a point for content and for pronunciation.
So you think the content and the pronunciation may be very important, most important.
I think pronunciation, because if
Pronunciation.
you say something the computer misunderstand, it can count your mark.
Yes, you cannot count for.
Okay, that's very good. Now let's do a demonstration here. Okay. For example, from now on, I speak English in this way. Hey, hey guys, today, I'm gonna, are you gonna listen to me? Are you gonna listen to me?
Maybe
If I keep talking this way?
fluency, do you think is more important?
Yes. The most important part actually is fluency. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying content and pronunciation is not important. I'm saying if you cannot deliver your content fluently, people won't listen to you. It's speaking. Think about that. If I keep talking that way, you won't listen to me. And also, there's another thing which is very important. Okay, if my fluency is so bad, if I break the phrase, sometimes I would give you some misunderstanding. Because in English, there are some collocations.
Okay.
If I break the collocations, it could be confusing, right? So think about that. If you speak Portuguese, right?
Yes.
Portuguese. If you speak Portuguese and if you break the phrase, something strange would happen. Even you are speaking to the native speaker, they cannot understand you. I mean, you just break the phrase, intentionally break this phrase and break the later part of the phrase to another phrase. People cannot understand you, no matter how clear you are in pronunciation. Okay, let me give you another example, okay? You just listen to me, and when I finish, you just tell me if you understand me or not, okay? For Chinese students who want to study abroad, they have to take tests like IELTS, PTE, and TOEFL.
Yes, I understand.
You understand me, right? Perfectly, right? Okay. But did you hear me just said tofu? I said tofu. Tofu is a food.
Okay, no,
I didn't say tofu.
I understand the context.
Exactly.
The test.
Exactly. But
English.
you were telling me pronunciation is important. It's not pronunciation, especially individual pronunciation. I'm not saying denying pronunciation. I'm saying individual pronunciation actually is not very important. But if you combine the words together, if you forming a group of idea, that's very important. Because the reason why you are not, disguided by my mispronunciation or replacement of the word is because you're understanding what I'm saying. They're gonna take tests like IELTS, PTE, and TOEFL. You cannot say TOEFL is a test. You can only imagine TOEFL is a test, right? Okay, for example, we have two computers. Even though I said a tool, but I think you still think I'm saying two computers. Why? Because I'm giving the context already. I'm showing this suggestion indicating two, the number two, even though I said tool, it doesn't matter. And also I said the computers. So if you are thinking the computer is checking, detecting your speech one word by one word, seriously wrong. I promise you, you'll get a low mark. Very low mark. Because that's not how we normally speak. When we speak, we would say something like this. Hey Barbara, what do you do?
I'm fine.
Right? I only highlight the last one. The last one is the one you should listen to because for the rest, it should be in one group. Right? So the phrasing is the most important thing. The phrasing is about the fluency. The phrasing is not about the content. I mean, the accuracy of the content is about the idea. Okay? Now, another question. Okay. Pronunciation. How can a computer check a pronunciation? I will give you a demo because for each cell phone, I think you have the voice detection, right? Voice detection, okay. Let me do something like this. You can see the test here. So I'm gonna use the microphone to detect what I'm saying, okay. I don't like that. So you can hear, you can see it said, I don't like that, right? But I didn't say that clearly. I said I don't like that. So I, make the consonant very silent. But it can still detect me. How come? The phrase. So I'm proving the point that for the pronunciation, it's not about the every pronunciation. It's about in one phrase, there's one word you need to highlight. If you make that accurate, and also you're having a phrase, you'll get a very high mark. Because, for example, I'm from China. I have a very strong Chinese accent, I think. If you are speaking Portuguese, you will have a very strong Portuguese accent, right? It's the same thing for Indian people, Korean people, Japanese people, because it's for the people who speak English as second language. If we're thinking about getting your pronunciation as a standardized pronunciation, no way. How come those people can get a high mark? How can I get a high mark, like 90 points in speaking? It's not about the accuracy of pronunciation, it's about the way you speak. If the way you speak is quite similar to the native speaker, then people can understand you. For example, I'm from China, I just told you. In China, there are lots of different regions speak different dialects, actually. Sometimes we would consider the dialects like foreign language. But if they speak Mandarin, even though they have a strong accent, we can still understand each other. It's because the way you speak is similar. But what's the way of speaking? The phrase, the stops, the pauses. So that's why I say fluency is the most important thing, not the pronunciation, not the content. Okay? But what about pronunciation? Let me highlight this one. I think all of you guys have watched a movie called Titanic.
Yes, long time ago.
Long time ago. Rose and Jack, right? Okay.
Yes.
Let's suppose, okay, there are three kind of scenarios, okay? Jack says something to Rose. Okay, listen. The first scenario. When I finish, I want you to tell me what are the different scenarios. What's the different context, okay? The first scenario is Jack said this to Rose. Rose, I love you. That's the first one. Second one, Rose, I love you. Third one, Rose, I love you. What's the difference of the
The intonation.
intonation? Intonation. What's the difference? Why am I making different intonations if you in that case? Why?
Because I want to change a message, a different message.
Can you explain what kind of different message I'm going to express? Because I'm telling you the same sentence. Okay? What's the difference?
I think it's just the intonation and how you can express like deeply or like shadow feelings.
Shadow feelings.
Uh,
Still, I think you're speculating, the
Yeah.
difference, but you're not explaining clearly. Firstly, it's not about the intonation, it's about the stress. Because first one I said, I love you.
stress, yeah, not
I love
intonation, yeah.
Second one, I love you. The third one, I love you. Think about in a real case scenario, in everyday life, if one boy is saying this to a girl, what he's indicating or implying. If I say, hey Barbara, I love you, what does that mean? What am I highlighting? I'm highlighting I. I'm indicating it's not him. No, it's not him.
Okay.
I love you. But if I say, Barbara, I love you, which means
The focus is me.
you're wondering, okay, hey Wes, I think you're kind of secretly in love with some other. No. I say, hey, I love you. That's how the pronunciation, get checked in PTE. Why? Because for the read aloud, you're already given the passage. The idea is already there. If you understand it, you will have very accurate stress on that word. For example, if I'm talking to you about the countries, there are several countries in the world. One is called developed country. The other is a developing country. See, I will automatically highlight developed country. Developed, not country, because I told you it's about country already. Then I will say developed country and developing country. That's how highlight and stress work in our daily conversation. Because this will make you understand each other more efficiently. So that's how the computer will judge you on your pronunciation. So if you see some guys can, score very high in pronunciation, which means his or her stress is quite accurate. That's it. If you have a phrase, you have a stress, then you would automatically have a rhythm, have a natural pace in language. And that's how the computer, the machine, can check, can detect, can judge you, because computer can only follow the rules. And when the text is already given you there, you cannot change the rules, because it's not like you can improvise. You can say whatever you want to say, right? Okay, there's one more thing. Intonation. Intonation will seriously affect your score in pronunciation. Why is that? If I say important, if this is how normally important should be pronounced, then the sound wave for important would be important, right? But if I say important, the sound wave of that transition will be different. So if you have some, too many unnatural intonations, that will seriously affect how the computer detects some of the words. And also it will affect the way, you detect the phrase. Because intonations sometimes will break the phrase. For example, if I say, today, I'm here to talk to you guys about PTE speaking. If I do that, actually I cannot score high in PTE because I'm breaking the phrase using my intonation. Why is that? I'm thinking. If I'm not thinking, then I can speak fluently. But you cannot think in PTE speaking? Yes, because every section is giving you time to think. For read aloud, you are giving 30 to 40 seconds to prepare. So which means when the recording starts, you need to express the idea confidently and naturally. That's it. So based on what I just told you the two characteristics of the PTE. One would seriously affect your strategy. Which part is more important than which part? For example, if you want to put a hierarchy or priority of the different sections in PTE, always put the speaking in the first place. Why? Because speaking is supporting the rest of the parts, but not getting support from the rest of parts. If you're not passing speaking, you will not pass you're not going to achieve your goal. So that's one. Secondly, because each part are correlating with each other, the points is exceeding 90. This will affect the way you get the points. So sometimes do not care about some mistakes. For example, if you're encountering a word in the fill in blank which you don't know, miss it. Doesn't matter. Because it's not like 80% of the blank will be like that. Maybe only 20 to 30% of the blank will be like that, right? So ignore that. Make sure you can always get the points you're supposed to get. So that will seriously affect the strategy of taking the test. It's very different from us. The second one is a computer test. If the computer is testing every part in each section, you need to think seriously about your technique, because it's very different from talking to a human, especially for speaking and writing. Because if you're talking to a human, especially in IELTS examiner, you want to impress him or her, right? For computer, no matter how hard you try, computer is not, taking any credit of your vocabulary, of the difference of the sentence structures. Good. Okay, that's it. Now let's quickly go through each part and explain the techniques in detail. Okay? All right. So firstly, you can see from the screen, it's really loud. I'm gonna ask Barbara to do one demo for us, because I think you have spending time preparing for this, right? Okay. So this is for preparation. Actually, you can read when you're preparing, because in the examination. Yeah, please.
Margaret Summers explained the change takes place in the Australian media. She analyzed or addressed our major media organization, the whole of government, and the implication of all of this of our society and our democracy. Her examination leads her to the conclusion that change in face-to context provides the modern world or part of the broad struggle, a very old struggle. He might call it the search of meaning.
Okay. Did you finish preparation in 35 seconds?
No.
No. Why I can judge that? Because I feel the later part is not as smooth as fluent as the first half, right? Okay, so that's something you need to think about. Okay, how am I gonna prepare very well in those given time, right? That's the first question. Secondly, based on what I just heard, I think your score would be above 65, but no more than 79. Why is that? Because I can hear you're having the right phrase, but sometimes you're not having the natural pace.
Okay.
Because it's sometimes you should stop where you should stop, right? If it's full stop, you just stop. If you're not having enough stop, then people will feel like you're reading something or saying something in a rush, and that's not good because that will affect the way people understand you. That's not how naturally we speak, right? Okay, now let's talk about these two problems. If you're preparing this one like this, Margaret Simons explains changes taking place. Sorry, just just 5 minutes, okay? Sorry. Okay. Sorry about the trouble.
No.
So we're
Can I explain?
Yeah.
This part of the test, I have just to read this passage.
yeah, that's it. But there are 6 to 7 questions. So for PTE, it's always about the pressure of time. It's very time pressing actually. For each part, you're not giving amount of huge amount of time to prepare for something. For this one, you're given 35 or 40 seconds, and it's a long passage actually. That's why I'm talking about the problem, right?
Okay.
If you're going through this one word by word, I guarantee you, if you struggle with some difficult vocabularies, then you will feel like you're under stress because you cannot finish the sentence, right? What I'm suggesting is, ignore some unfamiliar vocabularies like this, especially the name. We cannot guarantee you can read the name correctly, right? So someone explains some changes taking place in somewhere. Why I'm doing this? Because if you do that, you would have the imprint of the structure in your mind, right? You will say, okay, some people explain some changes taking place in somewhere. So that means you know where to stop. And just leave those vocabularies. For example, if I say, Mark sense, even though I made this wrong, but actually I'm not losing a lot of points. Guess what? Those 2 words only accounts for, what's the percentage in the whole passage. You can ignore that definitely. But what if you make some mistakes like this, especially your later part, right? If I say, her examination leads her to the conclusion that the challenges facing see the problem? Because in a sentence, there may be 4, 5 at the most phrases. If you break the phrase, that means your deduction of points will be huge. But if you're just missing some of the words, that's tiny. So I want you to go through this quickly. I think it's best that you can go over the structure twice during preparation time. Then you can understand what you're talking about. Because the problem is, sometimes in speaking, if you have the fluency problem, that means you do not understand what you're talking. You need time to think, to looking for some information, and to say it, to deliver some other thing you want to say. That means you do not have the pre-understanding of the text. Good?
This short passage is going to be used in the next.
It's going to support reading.
I know, but my question is, this passage is going to be used in the next.
No.
Huh?
Just this part.
That's right.
Yeah. It's separate, okay. Because this part is testing what? Testing reading already. Think about that. If you cannot find, stop where you should stop, that means you're not understanding it.
So if they have they put just 40 seconds to prepare.
Yeah.
You can understand in 40 seconds. You can read all this.
Definitely, you can definitely read.
And then when you just read, you can spend 40 seconds again. That can be good or
no? Why you're spending 40 seconds?
No. Maybe less.
Yeah,
maybe less.
Definitely less. Definitely less. Think about that.
I see.
If I read very slowly, okay, listen. Margaret Simons explains the changes taking place in the Australian media. That's not good.
No, yeah.
That's not good because it does not feel like I'm talking to you. It's like I'm
just
it's just like I'm delivering those words, not the meaning, right? Good. So basically, let's make it short, okay? Because for the rest of the parts, it also fits this kind of concept. You always speak with intention, with clear intention. If I feel like you are not certain, if you feel like you have hesitations, that means you are not doing good. Then the computer will definitely, deduct some mark from your speech. Because if you have hesitations, that means you're having the unnatural pauses and stops while speaking. Good? Yeah. So if you understand this part, you will also understand the next part. Okay. All right. Next part. I'm gonna explain it first. Then I'm gonna ask Raphael to do that. It's called repeat sentence, which means I will play one sentence. It's not very long. and you're asked to repeat it. Okay? I'm not gonna tell you about the criteria, but you just try. Okay? All right. Yeah. Listen,
First, skim the exam paper, then read it carefully.
please.
I just understood the read carefully. This thing. I didn't catch
You
it.
don't need to explain. I just want you to, copy. Let me try
No,
one.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no. Just try one more time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, don't try one more time. Okay. I know what you're trying to say. One more time. Another one.
The key to effective study is being organized.
The key that affects your study is being organized.
It's better. It's better. What if you ignore the middle part? The key is study organized. Would it be better? Definitely. Because the way you said it, you mumbled some words in the middle. You are missing those points. But if you are thinking about those words, you're mumbling about the words, actually it's affecting your fluency. So you always understand that for the parts, except from answer your question, it's always testing your fluency, transition, and content, right? If you're missing the fluency points, you're also missing the content points. Because the content actually they're based on the phrase. So I want you to listen to this in this kind of sense. I'll play one more time. Another one. This time I don't want you to repeat. I want you to find out the pause, to feel the pause.
As a representative of the Student Council, attendance at all meetings is compulsory.
As something in the student council, attendance at all meetings is compulsory. So three phrases, right? So I want you to put a sentence, consent a sentence in this way. It's either 2 phrases, 3 phrases, or 4 phrases. No problem, right? Every time you hear a sentence, it's either 2 phrases, 3 phrases, or 4 phrases. Good? Okay. How are you going to mark if you just say maybe 2? Pronunciation, 5 points. Fluency, 5 points. Content, 3 points. If I only say this 2, if I just repeat this sentence with these 2 phrases, but the similarity is quite high, what's the score? Could you tell me?
Definitely.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Just 1? Just 1 point?
I think 10.
10?
Because
Let me do one more time. Okay, Barbara, you repeat, okay? One more time.
Dr. Brown's office has moved to level 2.
doctors is moving for level 2.
Okay, so based on sentence, can you tell me the score? Pronunciation, fluency, and content.
I think 4, 5, 5. Pronunciation 4 times 5, 3.
Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you, Barbara, I think you're gonna be surprised, okay? For the content, 1. For fluency, 1. For the pronunciation, 1.
Why?
Why?
What is
Why? Why is
wrong?
that? Why is that? You heard words? Because there's no similarity. You only have the last word kind of similar. The rest word you're not similar.
Okay, I repeat my way.
No.
I need to copy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Why? Why we need to copy?
That's the way the computer understands.
Exactly. If there is no standards, how can a computer can judge you? Because different people would have different way to speak it, right? Is that correct? And also, in listening, there is one part called right from dictation. If the computer really trying to detect you are right or wrong about the words, that part is enough. Why you in speaking? In speaking, we have this part. Speaking is about the way you speak. Thank you. The way you speak. The rhythm, the pattern. Actually, the second trial for you actually is quite good. You will get a high mark because the first and the second, the last I think. The first and the last one is quite similar. Only the middle one is not very good. So in that case, you are getting more than 50% of the content. That's 2 points. Less than 50% at one point. But why I say your pronunciation fluency is so low? Because let's say, okay, if I say one sentence to Barbara, you judge, okay. I'll say one sentence and I'll repeat my sentence, okay. Barbara, this class is so boring. Let's go watch a movie.
This class is so boring. I think you need to move.
Okay. But if I repeat, okay, Barbara, let's go watch a movie. Can you say I'm very bad at pronunciation? You cannot say that, right? You will say, okay, hey, Wes, you missed the one phrase. But you won't say I'm very bad at pronunciation because I repeat exactly what I just said. So your fluency and pronunciation is based on the completion and the similarity of the phrase, not the length of the content. You can say less content, that's the mark of content. But the similarity is always about the pronunciation fluency. So next time, I want you to just, imagining you're listening to a song, maybe one verse of that music. You just repeat that without thinking. Why without thinking? Let's try something. You repeat, okay? Come Tansen, come pencil. Repeat.
I did it again.
Come Tyson, come. I don't understand.
Why? Okay, let's try another one. We did a vigilante.
You need the line?
See? Quite similar, but you're afraid of making mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm saying something you understand. I'm saying, can you repeat or not? You don't need to understand to repeat. Seriously.
Just repeat.
Yeah, think about that. When you're a young kid, you're trying to learn Portuguese or English. Do you understand that word in the first beginning? No. We just repeat. So this one actually is testing how you understand the rhythm in the rules of language. Like the first one. Kami pension, kami wansen. Say what I want to say. But you know my highlights, sen, something like that, right? The second one. We need Atlanti. You know Atlanti, then you say Atlanti. Let's try one more, okay? Guten Tag, guten Morgen, tschüss.
Good time and overtures.
See?
Yeah, that's
Do you understand me?
No.
That's the point. That's the point. Now, take this one, for example. If you're thinking about understanding this one, you're automatically separating the words. That's making it difficult. Because you cannot memorize, the sequence, all the words in a short period of time. But if you're putting those words in one group, actually you're making it easier.
That's happened with me in the first sentence you asked me to repeat.
Exactly. But the second time, you do good. See the point? Especially if you guys want to get 179. You have to remember this. Because if you want to get a 79, I think you have a very good vocabulary base already. So just let go. Let go of your worries. Just repeat, relax. If you're not abstract-minded, then you will definitely repeat very well. Especially, for the examination, those sentences are just as long as this one. You can definitely easily get more than 50%. Got it? So for these two parts, okay, I'm gonna put in one group because for read aloud and repeat sentence, they are basically having a standardized way of checking. Because this one is repeat the target sentence, and the first one is read through the text, right? But for describe image and read lecture, it's a different story. Why? Because, for example, if I ask you guys to look at this graph, I guarantee the way you deliver the graph and the way you deliver will be the same, won't be the same. If that's true, computer will not give you a standard answer like the first sentence should be, the second should be, or third and last sentence should be, right? I think you would agree. But what's the answer? Does it have an answer? Yes. Asia, Georgia, Russia, Armenia, Iran, Europe, Asia, the color, the globe. That's the answer. So for this time, you don't need to think about the structure, the sentence, the sequence, but you only keep the way of speaking, the fluent and the content way of speaking, then deliver the answer. I want you to do this, and then I give a demonstration. Okay. This one. 25 seconds for the preparation this time. for this section.
The graphs provides information about the position in the world between these 5 categories, e.g. NP per capita in US, life expectancy, literacy, infant mortality for 1,000 lives births, and human index range for the first for the 190,000.
We still have time.
Terrible, so difficult.
Okay. Do you think Barbara's fluency is good?
No.
It's not bad, but it's also not good. And you can also hear clearly that Barbara has lots of unnatural pauses because you're trying to think, right? Okay. What if you deliver the graph in this way? Let me do a demonstration for you, okay? This graph is about a lot of information. First, we can see the graph is about ranking Australia among 194 nations. So we can see from graph that there are several categories. The first one, GNP per capita in US dollars. The second one is life expectancy. The third one is literacy. And the fourth one is infant mortality per 100 live births. The last one is the human index. Actually, the last one is the human development index. So we can see from graph that, blah, 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 blah. I keep talking and repeating myself. Do I have very good content? Be honest. Do I have very good content? No, the content is not good, right? Because I'm only just talking about some, short phrases and introducing some simple information, right? Okay. Am I having good fluency?
Yes.
Yes. Am I having good pronunciation?
Yes, I understand.
Exactly. Now you compare. Is your content better than mine? The way you just tried? Is your content better than mine?
Oh,
No, maybe the same.
maybe the same.
I won't almost say your content is better than mine. That's how you improve. I'm not saying you intentionally, delivering those content in my way. I'm saying you should put something in the first place. That is pronunciation and fluency. Because if you are not having the right way to speak, computer cannot judge you. Because that's the way computer judge you. The way you speak, the correct way to speak, the proper way to speak. So it happens a lot to students, not just you, Chinese students, Korean students, whatever, because they always think about what I'm going to do about the graph. So I'll give you a quick idea, because this method you can also apply to the notes you will take in the written lecture. Think about that. If you understand something, then you have a sentence, right? If you do not understand something, you have some keywords or key phrases. It's the same thing here. If you do not understand it, then it's the only thing on this part that you can understand. Then you don't know what's the correlation between different categories, right? If you do not understand it. When you are encountering this kind of graph, you just simply delivering those keywords and key phrases. That's it. Because 25 seconds is not enough for you to really understand something.
Yes, it's impossible for me.
Impossible. Exactly. But if you understand it, then simple. You just keep the way of fluency, and if you make some mistakes about the content, you repeat it. You say it again, because computer is not judging you based on logic. Computer is judging you based on the way you speak and also the content recognition. That's it. Good. Okay. So next part will be written lecture. I will just play one. You try your best.
I've known
to
about
notes.
symbiotic relationships, of course, for quite a long
Try your
time.
best.
This is a more unusual example in that it's so large in area, it's underground, and there seems to be such a close and intimate relationship between the fungus and the trees. So it's rather different from the examples that have been studied before. It's extremely interesting to think about the possibilities that this web of interrelationship opens up. And certainly you can imagine almost that the large trees are feeding the small ones. Small ones are managing to grow, perhaps not as fast as they would if they had access to all the light from above. But they are kept going. It's almost as if the large trees are keeping them going until such time as a hole develops in the canopy and they can grow away to their full height. So that relationship between the large mature trees and the young saplings is most unusual. And I think there's a lot more that we need to understand about the precise links between them and how much material is passed from the adult trees into the young saplings.
Okay, now you're given 10 seconds. Barbara, you try. Deliver your notes in 40 seconds, please.
This is about the relationship between ferns and trees and how they unusual relationship in mature trees and saplings and underground.
That's it?
I'll have more time. And this kids of the school, from industrial side.
Okay. Barbara, do you want to try it? Yeah, please.
The lecture is about the relationship between the large trees and the small trees, and this different, the way from these different type of trees assess the rights and the different possibilities. It is quite unusual, and the speaker suggests you need to understand more about this difference between the trees in order to understand how the trees get some energies from the light.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Based on human understanding, I would totally agree with you. I think Barbara's expression is way better than yours, right?
Yeah.
But when it's computer, I won't say it's way better, it's just tiny better. Why is that? Because every time you speak, you have uncertain intonation. Because every time if we were certain, we should have made the tone flat. For example, okay, this lecture is about key features, it's about underground. But you say key features underground, you always have that intonation in the end of the sentence because you're thinking, and which will make your content unrecognized by the computer. So I want you to change what? The way you speak, it's okay. I think it's quite fluent, but make every sentence certain.
Okay.
Make it certain. It's also in your case. I think you are trying to think while speaking. Do not do that. Sometimes you can repeat yourself. For example, right? If I'm doing an interview, if I ask Barbara about some, tough questions, okay, Barbara, what do you think about the demonstration in Hong Kong weeks ago?
Quite good.
Quite good. Why do you think it's quite good?
I think it is quite interesting.
See, Barbara answered quite well because Barbara is, skimming the surface, only giving me some, general words, right? Or some people will answer you in this way. Talking about the demonstration in Hong Kong, I think is quite influential. It's influential in many different ways. See, I'm giving you more sentences, but I'm not giving you very substantial, solid idea. When you're trying to deliver your notes, sometimes you can separate your notes in the first place because it's too long for you to deliver that sentence in the first beginning. If you fail to deliver a sentence firstly, you won't get the point. So if I were you, I would just separate that sentence. I would just maybe talk about one phrase, and then I talk about the other phrase, then I combine them.
Maybe if I put it my notes in bullet points and then develop the answer can be better or
no, it's not better. It's about fluency. It's about the improving fluency. The way I'm telling you this is not about improving your content because when you finish your note taking, you cannot change anything. What I'm saying is, if your notes is only one word, do not try to make it a sentence. But you can use it. For example, if I only have a note, with one word, like China, right? I would say it's for China. I won't say it's about China. Is when you try to think about the idea, when you trying to make up the idea, then you have fluency problem. Good. Another thing I want you both to remember: always use up the time. Why is that? Because if you only use 25 seconds, it's not about the time difference would affect your score. It's about the way you use the time would affect your score. If you finish your recording within 25 seconds, let's say, and in those 25 seconds, you have 5 seconds inferent expressions, then your detection would be 1/5, right? But what if you use up the remaining 15 seconds to repeat what you just said? You're unlikely to have the fluency problem. So which means within 40 seconds recording, you have 5 seconds inferent expression. Definitely your pronunciation and fluency score will be higher. That's a mathematical, aspect. Good. That's it. Now, we have other sections, but I, highlighted speaking so much. Why I have it speak so much? Because if you understand the technique for recollection, you also understand the technique for summer spoken text. In summer spoken text, you always focus on grammar, format, and spelling first, because that's the basic requirements for writing. If your grammar is not good, if you have spelling mistakes, there will be huge deductions. For example, in the summer spoken text, you're asked to write 50 to 70 words. If you have 2 spelling mistakes, you get 0 points in spelling. That means your total score will be 8, not 10. If you have 1 grammar mistakes, 1 point deducted. So never have mistakes in those 2 parts, grammar and spelling. And then you look at the content. If your note is good, then you have more content points. If your note is not good, your score is still not very low because your base mark is quite high. And also for the repeat sentence, because in listening, there's one part called write from dictation. They ask you to write down the sentences and listen. But what if you can repeat most of the words? Can you also write most of the words? Most likely you can. But if you cannot repeat, most of the time, I don't think you can write well. Maybe you think, okay, in the writing part, in the listening writing part, I can have time to think. Yes, but when you listen to that sentence based on the word, sometimes you got distracted by difficult vocabularies. Then you would miss the rest. So I need you to combine those different similar parts in different sections and use a similar technique to tackle them, to deal with them. Then you can make sure your score is quite stable, especially for those 4 parts. Those 4 parts are seriously and massively influencing your listening score. Good? Now let's quickly go through the other parts. After speaking, it's writing. For the writing, the first one would be summarize written text. So you're asked to read this short passage. It's not a whole passage. I want you to read this one. Your response will be judged on the quality of writing and how well your response presents the key points in the passage. What does that mean? What's the key points?
The context, the idea of the
Exactly.
read.
So this part actually is not writing. It's not writing essay. It's reflection. It's reflect what you read. So that's why it said key points. Okay. All right. And for this part, writing, the only thing I would recommend you to do is make sure you can finish this section within 10 minutes. Why I say 10 minutes? Because if you do not have enough time to check your spelling and grammar, definitely you're not writing a good essay. On the contrary to IELTS, for this essay in PTE, I would ignore your content. I don't care about content because content doesn't matter that much. But I don't want you to be off point. If the question is about sports, write whatever about sports, but write sports. If you do not do that, you will get a very low mark because the computer is trying to, avoiding you using a loophole, right? Because it's a computer, it's a machine. If you're not having those detectable keywords, computer will automatically give you a 0 point. So take this for example, it's about team sports. You're always mentioning sports. Okay? Yeah, that's it for this part. And then let's go to the rating part. For the rating, only 3 parts are important. Not multiple choice, multiple answer, not multiple choice, single answer, only 2 fill in blank and 1 reorder. And if I put them in a priority, I would put this one.
The reorder is quite difficult for me.
Sorry?
The reorder paragraph is quite difficult for me.
Yeah, but that's the third one. That's the third
Okay.
most important one. It's not important at all, actually. This one is most important because this part is contributing points to writing. Which means if you get 20 points here, you also get 20 points in writing. But for reorder, in total, it's roughly 10 points. So don't worry about that. The reason why I think reorder is difficult is because I think you're maybe missing the point of that marking criteria. Why I say marking criteria? Let's jump to that first, okay? Because I want to, help you about the most concerning one. You can see here. So in the real examination, you're asked to move sentences from this column to that column with the right order, right? So the way I tell you about this actually is very confusing because I told you about the order, right? So people will think about, let's say the random shuffle order is maybe 3, 1, 2, 4, 5, maybe, okay? And the correct answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you are thinking about order, then tell me, if my answer is 1, 4, 3, 2, 5, how many points can I get? In the middle, that's my answer.
50%?
50%? You agree?
No, because it's the link between
So how many?
check.
My answer is the middle column. Yeah?
Yeah.
And
This is right answer. This is shuffled answer.
yeah, if my answer is the middle, yeah, 50%.
50%. 50%. You agree? But actually 0
It's
points.
0 because it's the connection. You need to link you 1 with 2.
1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5. I think for Barbara, your problem is, even though you understand this, but every time you read, you're automatically looking for the first one.
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
If you do that, that's a huge mistake. Because even though you find the first one, it's not guaranteed you can find the second one. What if the first one is separate?
Yes, I was looking for the introduction. Okay, this is first.
Yeah.
And you try
No.
to find the order.
No, if you're really understanding the pair, you should forget about the first one. You should looking directly for the pair. For example, okay,
Okay, I need to.
I don't care about the first one. I get a 2 and 3 together. No matter where I put it, I get 1 point already. That's
The link.
yeah, that's why I think you have a problem. And also to not targeting the full perfect mark, because sometimes it could be very difficult. Why? Those 5 sentences or 4 sentences, actually, they're not getting out from one text by sequence. Maybe sometimes they're jumping, some paragraphs already.
So it's
Okay,
not about,
they
it's not about the position, but the link.
Yeah.
The link of the one paragraph.
That's how the computer can know you're understanding the sentence, not just randomly putting.
Yeah, like just a little bit of luck, just putting there.
Exactly. Yes. Now let's go back to the one I was trying to highlight. That's the one. I'll quickly tell you why this one is testing your writing and also reading. Barbara just had a very, great understanding. You said that the whole reading part should be about writing because she's testing your expressions, right? The understanding of expressions. I would agree, but they would have different highlights of the testing of the writing. For this one, it's more about the context, and for the other one, it's more about understanding the vocabulary. For example, why I say this is more about the context. Tell me, for this blank, which one would you choose?
But do you think I need to read all the text? Because what I would do is.
I will answer your question after you give me the answer for this one.
Okay,
I know what you're trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Which one? Which answer would you choose? Come on.
Say worker.
Worker. Would you?
I will guess writer.
Writer, okay.
Yes.
Now, my question is, you are not getting it right, but I think you understand all of the choices, right? I think you know all the words. How come you know all the words but not getting the right answer?
You mean let's see, you mean like it's the correct word between, for example, noun, adjectives, or the adverbs in the correct position in that
Let's
case?
put it in this way, okay? After this class, Barbara will go to first choice, casino. Second one, nightclub. Third one, hotel. Fourth one, restaurant. Which one would you choose? You know all of them. Which one would you choose?
You don't know because he didn't
No,
know
Do you
me.
know?
I know.
Which one?
My one. But he didn't
No,
know.
let the
It's
beginning
not-
of the sentence.
It's not good question. It's not about, he knows you or not. It's about there's no complete context supporting the idea. It's the same thing here. Why you just writer? There's no indication of a writer. It's not saying he or she is a writer, but you can definitely choose companion. It's the best answer for this blank. Why? Because her enthusiasm in traveling can prove she can be a companion, but cannot prove she's a writer or worker, right? That's why I say this one is based on the understanding of the context. Now I'm gonna answer your question, okay? Sometimes you don't need to read the whole sentence to get answer. Sometimes you need to. For example, for this one, I guarantee you, no matter how many times you read this whole passage, you still cannot choose or determine which answer you can choose. You can pick. Try it. Can you determine? No. You can also not. Is it good? That's good. Which one?
Alternate, the second.
Second one. You, Barbara?
You guessed, but I'm not sure. I guess
Guess which one?
for the last one.
Last one, right? Congratulations.
Ah,
The second one is good, but it's not based on the whole understanding, because this is textual collocation. Leaving no stone unturned is a fixed pattern. It's a collocation. So that's why I say you need to read accordingly. If it's testing your noun, If it's testing a noun, then you need to read more. If you're testing your adjective, you don't need to read more. You need to identify what is a noun. If you're testing your vocabulary of the word, you only look at the subject and an object. Then you can determine what's a verb. Good? That's why this part is textual writing. And for the next part, you can see here, it's not. Because for this part, firstly, you need to understand the vocabulary. If you do not understand vocabulary, you will feel this one miserably. Because this can be very tricky. For example, if you put the first blank, this in the first blank, and it's wrong, you probably will get 2 wrong answers. Because it's taking up another one. Good? And that's it. And then we have the final part, listening. For listening, the first one I just mentioned, okay, is summer spoken test. It's quite similar to written lecture because you are asked to take notes. Okay, but the thing I highlighted were 3 points. First one, grammar. Second one, format, the word count. The last one, spelling. You always make sure you have no problems in these 3 parts. And then reflect objectively of your notes. Do not subjectively making up or try to make up something based on your understanding of the notes. Okay? If your notes have a complete idea, use that. If it's not complete, just reflect 1 phrase or 1 word. Good? And then I will skip those unimportant questions like multiple choice, multiple answer. And then let's talk about this one. This is called fill in blank, right? It's also testing your writing. This one is testing writing is because this word will not be delivered singly. Don't be anticipating something like this. Now then stop. This word pop out. No. So many students they would do something like this. Okay. They would anticipate the blank here, which is wrong, because the word is not delivered in that way. You should look at here. Now be together, because sometimes there will be link sound. There will be omission of the consonants. If you miss that, then you miss the word already. Good? And it's the same thing for the rest. So that's why it's testing your writing. Okay? In the middle, there are 3 questions which are not important at all. They are choice questions, okay? I want you to ignore them. The reason why I say ignore is you can even use these questions to relax. Why I want you to do that? Because listening part is the last part. I don't think you can keep that energy all the time. You should allocate your energy and allocate the time wisely. Because for this question, you listen to it for 1 minute, you only get 1 point. And sometimes the harder you try, the worse you get. You won't get answers, seriously sometimes, because you're thinking too much. So I want you to ignore those parts. If you want to choose one, choose one. But do not spend too much time and energy on this, okay? And then let's move to next important one, that's called highlight equal words. This one is simple, it's textual reading. Just following this passage by the phrase. And the computer is only testing you something like change of the word. The computer will not test you like, test the different forms of the word, different tense of the verb, or the singular form of the noun, or plural form of noun. It's not about that, okay? So you just focus on reading the phrase. That's it. And the final one, similar to repeating this. You listen.
It's confidence, and it's an optimism that I now have.
So the sentence is confidence. Confidence, and it's an optimism that I now have. So if you're doing that, okay, let's change this one because it should be capitalized. You have 10 points. What if you miss some words? Like, for example, if you miss and it's, so you're getting 8 points. So you should write as much as you can. The more correct answer you got, the higher points you are. What if you can guarantee for every sentence you get like 80% of accuracy? Then that's more than 79 already, because 79 is roughly 60%. So make sure you do that in each section. Make sure you can have the rate above 70 or close to 70. If it's close to 70, you are definitely gonna pass 79. Good. I hope you benefit from this class, especially those concepts in the first beginning. Very important, because most students, they spend time having the class, they forget about the most important fundamental rules. It's like a computer game, If you forget about strategy, how are you gonna win? Always remember the strategy, and then you know how to apply your techniques, and then you have your efficiency passing the examination. That's it. Thank you guys for coming. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
worries. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. See you next time.